Hi, I'm Mike Hebert. I represent Windham-4, which is the towns of Guilford and Vernon, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to watch Meet the Candidates. Today we have Bonnie Depino and Ed Cutler. They're running for seats in Windham-4. They're two of the four candidates, and they are the Republican candidates. So again, thank you for tuning in. Bonnie, welcome. Ed, welcome. As we talked about before, just nice casual conversation among friends and let the audience know what you're about. So having said that, Ed, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, like where you were born, went to school, things like that?
Okay, well, actually it was kind of weird. I was born in New York City, but grew up in East Dorset. My dad had to work. My mom stayed down there with my grandmother, and so that's where I'm from. School, regular public school, high school. I had 1 year of college at the Academy of Aeronautics, and then I went on to tech school because I found out I was really good at machine work and stuff, and I took a machine course there, graduated with honors, and then apprenticed when I was living in Connecticut at the Hartford Special Machine Company, and spent a 6-year apprenticeship and got my papers as a toolmaker. Since then, I've been a toolmaker for all my life up until a year ago last December, which is when I retired. Also had a small machine shop, hobby shop, more out of my house. Did a lot of work there doing the impossible, for lack of a better word. Things like I took an old flathead Army surplus Harley Davidson and built overhead valves into it because somebody said I couldn't do it. So 100 hours with machine work and it ran.
So to get you to do something, just tell you can't?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, so that works. So you're kind of a determined character.
Oh, I'm the consummate mechanic, and I really do love doing the impossible. It's
excellent. And Bonnie, can you tell us a little about yourself? Same type of information if you'd like, or whatever you want people to know about you.
I was born in Hartford and grew up in the Springfield, Mass, Enfield, Connecticut area. We came to Vermont because we absolutely love Vermont. I've been a foster parent and an adoptive parent. I have 2 children, one fully grown, one in middle school. I have 3 grandchildren. I have 2 great-grandchildren. And we just have a big, happy family. And we have a degree in laser electro-optics, which I mostly focused on electronics.
So you said we. Who is we?
We, my husband Bob and I, and we have his parents, us, our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren all live in the same house.
Full house?
Yeah.
Nice.
We've gone back to the old ways of the family lives together.
As such a good family group and a lot of kids and things, a little later on I'm going to ask some questions about Act 46 as a parent and a grandparent and a great-grandparent, which I find kind of surprising. I'll be interested to hear what you have, your thoughts on that. All right. Ed, you've decided to run. I've known you for years, and you've been on the sidelines working hard for different political causes and different points of view and things. What made you decide this year to take the step and run for office? Well,
as you said, I've been politically involved for a long time, probably the past 30 years. My main problem is I've been working, actually unpaid, so I can't really say working, but I've been an activist for that long, and some of the committees I deal with welcome me with open arms. Some of the committees I deal with, actually, David Dean's Fish and Wildlife Committee. David will not let me speak in that committee because the way it works now, as you know, you can't speak unless you ask them to and they allow you to. And he's never given me that privilege rather than constitutional right. Now that I'm retired, I figured it's about time What I'd like to do is go to the State House, hopefully be in a good committee. That's something that I have interests in, and I do have many interests, but the big problem I see it is the people really don't get a good say-so in the State House. You know, the building's full of lobbyists, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see the committee process open up so that anybody that wants to speak has that right, because it is a right. I not only deal with Vermont, I also go over to New Hampshire and do some stuff there, and it's a totally amazing thing. The committees in New Hampshire can't stop you from speaking. You literally walk in, sign a little card with your name on it and how long you feel like speaking, and they hear everybody. That is a true democracy. And it's a wonderful thing because regardless of what side of any issue you're on, it gives everybody that really has an interest and wants to a say-so. And the only time we have any public hearings, you know, you walk into like room 11 or the well of the House and they give you 2 minutes and nobody can really deal with an issue in 2 minutes, so.
Well, it's interesting you feel that way. I mean, I think in the process, a lot of what happens is the personality or the philosophical standings of the chair. As you know, the committee I'm the ranking member on is a very open committee. Just about anyone can testify, and the chair there, while on the other side of the aisle, had respect for him. He's retired now, but had great respect for him because his belief was that the best decisions the legislature could make are the most informed decisions, and to get that information you need both sides. So I applaud you for wanting to go to Montpelier and open up the process, because I do think the best governance is when you have people deciding on laws and making votes that they're as informed as possible. So thank you. Bonnie, what makes you think you'd like to serve in Montpelier, and what would you bring to the table?
I am very, the issues that I want to run on are jobs and taxes, education, and the supermajority, which kind of goes back to what Eddie was talking about with the committees, open committees, and right now there's a supermajority in Montpelier that is stopping good things from happening in the state, and they're causing destructive things to happen in the state. And I want to be in there and look at whatever comes before me as a constitutional level, a legal level, and is it right for the people? I want to be there to do what's right for the people and not just whatever is put in front of me.
Okay, when you talk about taxes, one of the big conversations right now in the state, we have two gubernatorial candidates that are diametrically opposed on their view of the carbon tax and something that's come up in the last week, the sales tax on services. I'm not sure if you've seen what's been out there on that, but what would your view of either of those be? Because you're talking you want to bring change, or you want to bring good things to the people. So I think the people would like to know, you brought up taxes, how you would feel about either of those taxes or taxes in general.
I don't like either of those. The taxes are necessary to run the state. I think there are taxes and expenditures that can be looked at on both sides and be adjusted or eliminated. I don't like the carbon tax. I think that it puts undue pressure on the people of Vermont because it's going to hit them in every aspect of their lives, because it's going to tax all fossil fuels, and that goes into your heating, your car, even your ability to get to work, your cooking fuel, because many people in Vermont use propane, and it's going to hit them there too.
And the sales tax on services?
Sales tax on services, I think we could do better. As I look at issues in Vermont, it always comes back to jobs, like putting people back to work. And the more people we have back to work, the less all of us will have to pay in tax. So I think that's a wrong direction. I understand that taxes are necessary, but we need to look at how do we get back to manufacturing and having an actual productive state.
Yeah. Ed, any view on either of those items
Absolutely.
that were brought up?
Yeah. Now that I'm retired, my Social Security right now is about $13.70 a month, which is not a lot of money. The carbon tax scares me big time because 88 cents a gallon for fuel oil, and I heat my house with fuel oil, is ridiculous. They're thinking of somewhere around $1.20 a gallon for other gasoline and other things.
It hasn't been resolved yet, but certainly that's potential.
It's potential, and it's, there's not a lot of public transportation up here. You need a car. You need to heat your home. You need to cook your food. And this not only affects me at my home, it also affects every business in the state because they have to pay those oil prices too, which means they have to turn around, turn that into their profit margin, raise their prices, groceries go up. You're not only paying an 88 cents a gallon for fuel oil, but that fuel oil dealer has to have trucks, heat, and everything else, so they have to raise their prices. It's a never-ending cycle that does nothing. Vermont is the greenest state in the country, one of the greenest places in the world. And this state is amazing for what it's done over the past 30 years as far as cleaning everything up. For us to have to go through and do something like that when we are probably the most conscientious state is ludicrous. And it's something that not only does not need to be done, but it's hazardous to our economy, and it's hazardous to the people that live here. Again, we have young people just starting out. They don't have a lot of money. We have senior citizens like me. A lot of those senior citizens are moving. They're going to other places because they can't afford to live here anymore. I'm still here because, plain and simple, this is the finest state in the history of mankind. And I'm not leaving. I'm going to be here fighting to overturn or stop things like that because I don't want to lose Vermont.
Now, Bonnie, I had said earlier, I'm going to ask you a little bit about education. 2 years ago, Act 46 was enacted, and it has become very controversial. And one of the things that it does, and I got it down here, was enacted to consolidate school districts through a system of rewards for those who do and penalties for those who do not. Last year was further tweaked with what many have called being watered down, and finally the whole question of school choice is looming. All right, that's a question that's come up many times, and I've written it down because I've heard it from several people when I do forums. Overall, what do you think of Act 46? Should it be repealed? Should it be further changed? Should it be further amendment? Do you believe that it could be repealed, given its goals and objectives? And what do you think of those goals and objectives?
I do believe it could be repealed, and I'd like to see it repealed. Okay. I think education should be in the hands of the local communities and the parents. We're removing too much control of our children from the parents. I come from a community where we've actually brought a suit against the state in Westminster to prevent us from having to give up our school choice. And I think that's really important because all children don't learn the same way. They shouldn't all be put in the same box mandated by the state. And they shouldn't be, those decisions shouldn't be made by bureaucrats at the Department of Education. They should be made by the parents and the local schools.
One of the goals of Act 46 was to reduce costs and hopefully reduce taxes and efficiencies. In the conversations you've had with people in your community, do you see where those efficiencies would be, or are there opportunities to do that, or do you think it's just Montpelier looking to consolidate their control over education?
I do. That's what I believe, is that it's Montpelier looking to consolidate their control over education. I don't think that it will. I think, in fact, it'll raise the cost of education in Vermont.
How so?
Because we'll be requiring eventually that every child go to school, because part of school choice is homeschool, which I sorely believe in. I was a homeschool parent for the past 2 years, and my son just decided that he needed the socialization, and he went back to middle school. He started yesterday. And I'm very proud of the way he arrived at his decision. But children and families need to be able to have that option, because every child is different. So if you want to reduce the price of education, you can't make it the same for everyone, because now you're bringing children into the system that it might cost $2,500 to have them be a distance learner and stay at home, and now you're making the state pay $13,000 for that child's education. So.
But from what you've said, I think one of the strongest factors with school choice for you is to empower parents in the decisions on education for their kids?
Absolutely.
That's a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Ed, do you have any comments on 46?
Yeah, actually Bonnie covered it pretty good, but I, again, have been politically active for a very long time. Town meeting, we vote the school budget. We can deal with the teachers, we can deal with the principals. Once the state takes over, it's whatever they mandate. And I'm a kind of person that looks to the future. And 10, 20 years down the road, who knows who's going to be in charge here, what the situation's going to be. With school choice and with the way we've done it for the past 225 years, we still control that, regardless of what happens in Montpelier. Price-wise, I'm looking at another bureaucracy, plain and simple. Because we will have the school boards here, maybe. We will have a state school board of some kind or another. That's paying 2 supervisory systems to run something that's historically been done by the parents who want to volunteer and be on the school board, you know?
All right. Again, changing topics a little bit. Vermont Health Connect.
Sure.
Okay. Now, it's been running for a long time. We've invested $175, $200 million in it. There's many of us that think it's not working. We're looking to make some changes. What would you think, and Ed, I'll throw this one to you first, what would you think would be a mechanism to change that or reduce our costs or change directions? What would you think we should be doing?
I would completely eliminate the system as it is right now. This $200 million has done nothing for this state. I'm 66 years old now. I'm on Social Security. I get Medicaid. I'm still getting letters from Vermont Health Connect wanting me to sign up. And I'm too old for it, and I have another system. This is stupid. It's wasteful money. Who knows? And I've contacted them 3 times. It's just unbelievable what goes on there. And I hear horror stories from friends who have very expensive prescriptions that they wind up paying for them themselves because their numbers or their thing didn't come up, whatever it was. I know one guy, $17,000 for a prescription that he had to pay out of his own pocket because the system didn't show that he was supposed to have that stuff. It's ridiculous. Like I said, I do some stuff over in New Hampshire. Their system cost them $12 million, and it works. Look to our neighbors. See what they're doing, see what works. Get rid of this stupid system that's done nothing except cost the taxpayer of the state money, and big money. $200 million is horrific for a state with 625,000 people in it. And only, what, 30 or 40,000 people are actually on that system?
That's pretty accurate, yes.
Yeah. Give it a break. See what the neighbors are doing. It's that simple.
Bonnie, anything to add?
Totally agree with Eddie. We need to, comes a time to cut your losses and try Plan B. And I think we need to go with Plan B.
And what would you see as Plan B?
I totally agree with Eddie. Look at what New Hampshire has done.
Okay, or turn to the Federal Exchange or
Federal
something like
Exchange
that
would
other
work,
states
yeah.
have done. Great. All right, we're going to switch gears again.
Okay.
All right, wind turbines. All right. Heard a lot about wind turbines. A bill was passed last year by the House, got reworded when it went to the governor, and the governor threatened to veto it, and that went through my committee. Ed, you were there for a lot of that and saw how that all transpired. What are your thoughts about wind turbines specifically? Because they're coming to your neighborhood, possibly.
Oh, they are.
And in general, the renewable energy siting. Bonnie, your turn. You're up first.
I am totally opposed to corporate wind projects. I don't have a problem with the farmer with a windmill next to their barn, but the corporate wind projects are going to destroy Vermont's scenic value, and we depend heavily on our scenic value and our tourist part of our economy. Many of our businesses wouldn't survive without that money. So we have to maintain our scenic value. And the watershed, we have to protect the watershed. And there's already evidence at Lowell Mountain that the runoff is fouling the watershed. We also, windmills aren't as green as everybody thinks they are. There's a toxic lake in China next to the plant that manufactures the magnets that go inside the turbines. And personally, I can't live with killing a village in China and calling myself using green energy. But it's all through the manufacture, the construction, and the operation and maintenance of these windmills. They are going to leave a larger carbon footprint than they could ever compensate for.
Some of us in Montpelier are looking to get more local control, and that a local community should have the authority to choose to site or not site energy projects within their towns. How do you feel about that, Ed?
I think it's a great idea because then, I've been watching what's been happening over in Grafton and a few other places. In Grafton, they literally, the company that's putting them in says, oh yeah, people in Grafton can have a vote. But it has to be now, no warning, no anything else. People in Grafton who literally own that town, we're saying there, well, we got to give warning, it'll be done at the next town meeting, you know. And these people are saying, nope, that doesn't count. The hell with you. We're going to go do what we want. And, you know, this is happening all over the state. And the big problem is there's 250 miles of ridgeline that they want to cover. They also want to cover the whole state in solar panels. I know the company there's talking about everybody moving out of the country and living in communities or cities or something like that. This is Vermont, you know? My whole life, the reason I love this place, I come riding up through Pownell. The view is spectacular. All the way up through the Manchester Valley or over Route 30 over to Fairhaven, or even Route 100. You look out over those hills, and it's a beauty that can't be described. I don't want to see those hills covered in solar panels. If somebody wants to put solar panels on their roof, or actually I'm hearing now they're coming up with these real small little cones that are supposed to be super efficient. If anybody wants to be independent like that, I welcome it. If they want to put a small windmill on, I welcome it. But covering this whole state in black, whatever you'd call it, and giant windmills, I'm sorry. It's not Vermont.
Bonnie, you have anything to add to that?
No.
No? Okay. When you said they, are you talking like Iberdrola and people like that, Sun Solar?
Them and the
large
legislators who, have been working with them. Peter Shumlin's a good one. I've known Pete for a long time, but he was out there, I think yesterday or the day before, cutting ribbons up in the National Forest where they're building one. Somerset. Yeah, that's a national forest. From when I was a kid, I've hiked those mountains. I even know the back way into Bromley. I'd be up in Bromley from East Dorset, in the middle of winter, ski season, when I was a kid. And people couldn't figure out how I got up there without a lip pass. But this here will ruin the state. And again, looking at New Hampshire, they'll have their green hills and their white mountains. And growing up around Manchester, I know what it's like when the tourists don't come. I couldn't, in '74 when we had the gas shortage, I couldn't buy a job. People are going to be traveling there instead of here.
All right, well, as you may or may not realize, when you're on television, time goes very quickly, and we're nearing the end. Earlier, Ed, you said you're an activist. Mm-hmm. Is there a particular issue that you're an activist about, or are you an activist in general?
Actually, what I'm saying here is pretty much new territory from what my detractors are saying. Since 1996, I've been the president of the Gun Owners of Vermont. I'm a strong constitutionalist, and some of my detractors are now saying, in the Brattleboro paper as a matter of fact, that I will not compromise on my constitutional rights. It's not just that constitutional rights, it's also freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and every other part of the Vermont and the United States Bill of Rights that I will not compromise on. As funny as it sounds, Vermont is the leading example of safety in this country. We have the lowest violent crime rate, and a lot of people don't realize this, but we're actually ranked as a state, if you compare us to the rest of the world, we're number 2 in violent crime. The only ones that beat us as far as any kind of a crime rate at all is Switzerland. So, but I've been an activist with that group for quite a while, and like I said, other things that I haven't been really active, but as you know, I've been in your committee and a couple others. So,
great. Well, thank you. And Bonnie, with the time we have left, your mom, grandmother, great-grandmother, wife, obviously strong family values. We covered some topics there. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you, or what you'd like to see happen in Montpelier that you'd like to add to what we've talked about?
I'd just like to say that I stand with Eddie as being a constitutionalist. Those rights were enumerated for us so that everyone would know that we are a fair and just society, and that those rights are not compromisable. They're just not.
So it would be fair to say that you guys would be a strong team in Montpelier. You would go up and represent your district as
Absolutely.
a team. Now, Ed, I work with freshmen quite a bit, and one of the things that I stress as important is when you get to Montpelier, and I would like to see you up there with me and work together, always remember who put you in your seat in Montpelier. You owe nothing to the people under the dome. You owe it to the people back home. And from meeting you and talking with you folks, I know that you strongly believe that. So I'd like to thank you for running. It's not easy to put yourself out there, but thank you very much. I wish you success.
Hi, my name's Ed Cutler. I'm running for Windham-4, Westminster, Putney, and Dummerston. If you want your taxes raised, if you want to spoil our wonderful state with windmills and solar panels, or if you want to have your life controlled by the people in Montpelier, vote for my opponents. If you want freedom and choice to live the way you want, vote for me, Ed Cutler, for Westminster, Putney, and Dummerston. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Depino. I'm running for House of Representatives in Windham-4, Westminster, Putney, and Dummerston. I'm running against two opponents who have a history of raising taxes and passing bills that aren't good for Vermonters, and I would like to go to Montpelier and work for Vermonters. So vote for me on November 8th. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank everyone at home for taking the time to tune in and watch this Meet the Candidates forum. Thank you.